Okay, hello people of YouTube land, and those that follow Ted and I on Twitch, those that are listening to this on Spotify or whatever stream platform that we put this on, and also those that are part of Ted's Discord. I am Traductus.
And I'm Ted.
And this is the movie review podcast. And god damn it, drop my fucking keyboard. And it's scuffed as usual. That being said, and we are taking a director's filmography. We reviewed the movies and we ranked the movies. Ted also goes over the plot. I give her background information, say what we like and dislike. And that's basically it, although not in that particular order. Hold on, Jesus. That being said, we are doing David Fincher, and we are on the movie The Social Network. Now, for background, The Social Network was released on September 24th, 2010. And then that was at the New York Film Festival. And then on October 10th, 2010, so not October 10th, October 1st. Jesus fucking Christ, I need to learn to read. Yeah, October 1st, 2010 in the rest of the United States. It had a budget of $40 million and had a box office return of $224.9 million. Now, this movie was written by Aaron Sorkin, who based his screenplay off the 2009 book The Accidental Billionaires by Ben Mesrich. And I didn't get a heck of a lot why Fincher chose to do this or why he was picked to do this, besides the fact that he really liked the script. And
I will say, as you're looking there, it does feel super character driven in a way that would speak to the Fincher MO.
We're gonna get for likes and dislikes. We're gonna get into a like that is very Fincher-esque from a previous movie.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely character driven. I can see why he took it, even if there isn't the background on it. It definitely feels like a thing that he would be interested in.
But pretty much Sorkin was interested in the lawsuits that were happening, and also the book, and figured this would make a good movie. That being said, we're gonna go into cast. We have Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg, and Eisenberg actually said this is one of his favorite roles. He actually said that even though I've gotten to be in some wonderful movies, this character seems so much more overtly insensitive in so many ways that seem more real to me in the best way. I don't often get cast as insensitive people.
That seems fair.
Okay. I think he's right on that.
Insensitive is a very interesting word to use.
Yeah,
but
he does play assholes really well, but they do have emotion.
Yeah, this one is very cold, calculated. Insensitive is such a good word. I like that. Yeah.
And it goes, and it feels so very comfortable, fresh, and exciting, as if you never have to worry about the audience. Not that I worry about the audience anyway. It should just be the furthest thing from your mind, because The Social Network is the biggest relief I've ever had in a movie.
Fair.
We also have Andrew Garfield as Eduardo Severin, the other founder of Facebook. We have Justin Timberlake as Sean Parker, the founder of Napster. I have a alternative casting that it could have been that could have been that character. Jonah Hill auditioned for it, but Fincher went with Timberlake.
I think Timberlake probably fits that smug, high on life role a little bit better. Not that I think Jonah Hill would have been bad. I mean, I think it just kind of moves towards the Wolf of Wall Street character for Jonah Hill that kind of feels a little more tepid.
I have a feeling that Jonah Hill probably would have. Not saying that Jonah Hill couldn't do like serious roles. I mean, look at Moneyball.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if he would have done this. Timberlake does this. Timberlake's acting in this. It's like over the top, but yet it's also subdued at the same time.
It's there's a level of smug and high and mighty to this that doesn't strike me as Jonah Hill's forte. I believe that Jonah Hill's a phenomenal actor, right? And I think he could have done the job, but I Timberlake feels more natural, at least as I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because
to me, I keep thinking like of how Jonah Hill's Wolf of Wall Street character, or his character in War Dogs, where he's just like fucking batshit insane. While Timberlake's a little bit more grounded and he gets paranoid as the farther he goes because, you know, he has a major fucking coke problem.
Fair.
In the movie, I don't know if that's how it was in real life.
Right.
Try to cover our legal basis here. But then we also have Army Hammer as Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, other people that were involved in, like, you know, I guess the founding of Facebook, or, you know,
the circumstances around it. Yeah.
Around it. Same with like Max Minghella as Divya Narendra. And we also have like Rashida Jones as, like, I think one of his lawyers, or like
one of the prosecuting lawyers,
lawyers for like Mark Zuckerberg and stuff. We have Wallace Langram as Peter Thiel. There's really not many people that, like,
Brenda Song was in it as Andrew Garfield's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty reasonable cast for the most part. There's a handful of faces, a bunch of faces you recognize, not necessarily people that are like, this is their world-class acting role, but yeah, a bunch of people you recognize.
Yeah, like we have Dakota Johnson as Amelia Ritter, and Rui Mara as Erica Albright, who I think is like,
just in the opening scene, yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a pretty decent cast in this. That being said, that's basically what I got. Not much.
Okay. Well, getting into plot then. This movie kind of highlights the founding of Facebook through the first round of lawsuits that Facebook faces. Biopic feels like a weird word to use to that.
Before the genocide start happening in Myanmar because of misinformation off of Facebook.
Dude, before Coney 2012.
Yeah. Before people really hated Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
which is funny because, like, back then watching this movie, it's like, wow, he's a dick.
Yeah. I think some of the he's an asshole kind of started to come out as this movie premiered, but not to the level that we know now. But yeah, it's
watching this. It's like, and we didn't even know the worst parts.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a kind of like fictionalized biopic in a way that's not necessarily like, you know, sensationalizing him. It's just kind of a dramatized narrative piece. Biopic feels like a weird word to use, but it's as close as I think we can get. There's not a whole lot of...
if anything, they do give a little bit of plausible deniability, as in, like, he doesn't understand that he's being an asshole, although that's a gray area there, you know?
Yeah, I think that it's more of a narrative piece and telling you what happened more than like giving a character background. Yeah. The plot is pretty much the founding of Facebook, and it's not like there's a really narrative driven piece here. But yeah, into likes and dislikes. Stallman, you kind of already mentioned one, so I'm just gonna let you take over likes. Let's end it.
This is very fucking well cast. Jesse Eisenberg does an amazing job. Same with Andrew Garfield. Armie Hammer, despite having the name of a porn star, at least it sounds like it, does an amazing job. Like, everybody does a damn good job in this. Like, there isn't a bit of acting that is cringe for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I think everybody hits their roles pretty well. The things that are there, right? I think that, like, I think that the Sean Parker role from Justin Timberlake is really good, right? I think that Jesse Eisenberg, who may or may not be typecast, but also like definitely hits that I'm a calculated prick in a way, right? The two brothers that have their ideas stolen are just angry, bitter pieces of shit without being like humanless, right? I think that genuinely all of the roles in this are really good. Everybody does their part. They play very thorough characters, even if it's not like a character driven line in the way that, like, you know, there's character development necessarily. Like, all of the characters feel pretty spot on to people that would have been involved in the things we know to have happened. Very well cast. I'm with that.
Yeah. I think another thing I'll say that there are a few shots that are actually like really good, such as like lighting, and yeah, it's David Fincher. Like if he fucks up on cinematography, like it's it's a fluke.
I will say that for this one, because it is closer to that biopic, that there are less cinematography shots that feel like they need to happen, right? There isn't the same level of like action or events that occur, right? They're just showing you people interacting in a daily life. But again, like you said, I mean, the lighting is really good. The camera angles it always feels to be in the right spot that tells what's happening. It's not Fincher in the same way that Fight Club is, where they're giving you those CGI shots and taking you through the apartment that's about to blow up, right? Like, but again, if Fincher fucks it up, it's a rarity.
There's a fun thing. There's actually a body double for one of the Winklevoss's twins, and the cool thing about that is the guy, I can look at that. The guy was like Josh Pence was a body double for Hammer, and they actually used CG to digitally impose Armie Hammer's like face onto Josh Pence.
I didn't even notice. Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah. Like, holy.
Yeah. No, good on him.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't notice either, I figured, because I was wondering, like, because like I'm not really familiar with Armie Hammer's like filmography, so like I wasn't sure if like, is there like two twins there, or if it was like, like how you normally cast one actor as like the twin of the other one,
right?
And the fact that they were able to pull that off. I'm not saying that. I mean, they've been pulling that off since like the first Parent Trap in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, that's not new necessarily, but yeah.
Yeah, but and like George Méliès was able to pull it off with like the double exposure, but like you can kind of tell with like a double exposure. But
right.
With this, like, it's done really well. I love the fact that the chat blurbs, when it comes to like, showing like the different Facebook things, like pop up really well. Actually, probably the best I've seen in any fucking movie, because usually when they do that with like the internet, it just looks terrible. I
think to that point, right, the technical aspects of what it took to get into Facebook were definitely there in a way that like you don't need to understand the technology or web coding or whatever to understand what was going on, right? You don't feel left in the dark because you don't have coding skills, but it also like very clearly demonstrates the like, hey, Zuckerberg was smart enough to do this, and here's how we can show that, right? I think that their representation of that technical ability are definitely there in that, especially like being someone who was on Facebook relatively early and watching the site change over a dozen times now, right, in pretty significant ways, right? Like I think that all of those pieces are there without it just being like, look how technically cool Facebook was. Definitely very cool.
I also like, oh sorry,
no, go ahead.
I also like the character arcs that the characters kind of go through.
I think our arc is an interesting word, but I don't disagree. Like you definitely watch the human interaction evolve, right? The characters themselves don't necessarily change, but the characters definitely go through some shit together.
Yeah, well, you have like the one Winklevoss twin that's just like, we're gonna go through. It's like, we're Harvard men. We're doing this like the Harvard way. And then when he sees like this is all fucking bullshit, he finally fucking caves and they sue. And then you have Andrew Garfield, who just gets completely fucked over while actually, trying to be the responsible one. Well, but Justin Timberlake is like trying to claw his way into the next big freaking thing to save his fucking rebuild his reputation, and then goes full circle into being back into being like a fucking fuck up. And then Mark Zuckerberg, he basically gets addicted to his own product.
Well, I think the interaction of relationships is the part of that is one of my big sticking points for likes, right? Is there are so many things in this movie that feel, I know the whole thing's a dramatization, don't get me wrong, right?
Right.
But I also know that there are pieces of this that are very clearly rooted in very real elements, right? And
the fact that every person in here is fucking a very insecure wannabe macho dude.
I think my examples are different though, right? So when they go out to California, right, and they have and Timberlake and Eisenberg are having the conversation in the club, right? Like, logically, the conversation that they have and the storytelling that Timberlake does is not necessarily relevant, which makes me feel like that's based in a very real conversation, right?
Yeah. Right.
The ways in which the characters interact with each other feels so very human for being as scripted as it was.
Yeah.
That you can definitely feel it while watching the movie, that these feel like real human conversations that people are really having. And even if it's scripted, they're based so much in reality. I guarantee Fincher did his homework, right? I promise Fincher did his homework. But it makes it feel that like the conversations that they're having are as close to the real conversations as they possibly could be, and it very much shows through. There's not so much like character development and an arc, right? As much as you're watching the interactions between the same two people change over time, and it's pretty remarkable, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's still kind of. Find it funny how kind of like with Fight Club, it just kind of comes down to toxic masculinity, but in a different way, as in more so male stubbornness and male ego, because there's numerous times where things could just especially with Zuckerberg, it's do the fucking right thing, just do the right thing, but he's no, I'm not gonna even though I'm wrong, I'm not gonna say I'm wrong because
for sure.
What?
For sure, yeah.
And even Garfield kind of does this as well, because there's numerous things that he's wrong about, but he still draws a line in the sand. It's literally a pissing contest between 4 different factions. And
even then, right, as they're in the room for the deposition, right, they're talking about how they used to be friends and why they made the choices that they made, right? Even in those circumstances, you still get the humanness of the whole thing. For being a movie that has so much autistic representation, right? Watching the people have their interactions and the places that they decide to have their sticking points it's the dialogue in this is so well done. It all feels so very human. They do have
Zuckerberg coming off as very autistic, but there's other parts to me it's maybe not, maybe he's just an asshole.
Yeah,
or it could be both, but they kind of toe the line between the two.
For sure. I think another spot for me that I really enjoy, they do a very good job at demonstrating Zuckerberg's abilities, right? I mentioned the technical aspects of it all earlier, right? But
right,
they do a good job at showing his vision. They show his interests. They show the reason, and the purpose. Yeah, the ruthlessness. I think also too that it's got some foresight to it too, right? And the idea that, like, hey, I'm doing this who's hotter thing at the beginning of the movie, right? But also recognizing the human connection, even if he's too autistic to realize it, right? That he's trying to put people in the same network, right? Putting, you know, how am I comparing the things that I already know and making Facebook better? Even this thing that's as simple as the relationship status, right? Is like, it's demonstrating the foresight to what Facebook actually is. In a way that doesn't take away from the human experience that this movie is supposed to be. I very much like the way that they blended the human element with the Facebook element and still made it a cohesive piece.
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing I also like about this movie is that, now, I'm not saying that it's the same caliber as Citizen Kane, but, like, it kind of has, like, a similar narrative, if that makes sense. You know, like a guy, you know, becomes, like, rich and powerful. It gets to his head, although in this case, like, he's already an asshole starting out. So it just makes him into even more of an asshole. But, like, it's a, you know, rise and fall narrative of a, you know, of a media guru. Because, like, with Citizen Kane, even though Charles Foster Kane is fictional, he is very, 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 very based on William Randolph Hearst.
Right.
And for what we know with Facebook at the time, like, Zuckerberg's basically the William Randolph Hearst of this era.
That's kind of fair.
Like, and you have, and even though it's not like a huge fall with like there is in Citizen Kane, he still alienates everybody that he associates with.
Yeah.
And isn't necessarily happy at the end and is basically kind of an empty shell. And the thing that I think that this movie does really well with the Kane comparisons is the fact that this story, if you didn't even have, like, if you had the characters with different names and don't even have, like, Facebook on there, you just have it as, like, a different name and stuff, this would still be a good movie. This is basically the opposite of Zodiac.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that point. I think that Facebook is a very helpful tool to narrate and to give the source material, but like you said, I mean, they could have used something totally fictional with, you know, an allegorical connection rather than a direct connection, and it still would have been fine. Do you have any more likes? Because I think that transitions me into dislikes pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I was about to say I got a dislike on this.
Yeah, perfect. I think as far as dislikes go, I think that they use Facebook too strongly in a way.
Yes. I think the fact that it is the actual people holds us back because of the biases that we have over Zuckerberg and company.
Well, and I think that it also kind of, to a point, contributes to getting half a story out of this movie, right?
Right.
Granted, you know, this movie came out a decade ago, right? And the evolution of the company Meta and what we know about Zuckerberg has obviously increased strongly since that point, right? Like, I mean,
right.
Like founding Meta, purchasing Instagram, right? Like starting Threads, right? On top of all of the other lawsuits and misinformation and the shit that's happened with the last 3 presidential cycles, right? Like you know, I think there's so much more that goes into the story if you're trying to tell the Zuckerberg narrative, right? And I think that the movie kind of feels like it suffers for that. Admittedly, like, there's bias involved in that because, you know, we know more happened after 2010 when this released, of course, right? But also I feel like it contributes to not having a full picture, right? To not getting the full biopic element out of it, and to just getting.
To compare it to Citizen Kane, you do get that with Citizen Kane because, like, even though it's heavily based off of William Randolph Hearst, it's still a fictional character, so you get the whole arc.
Yeah, again, it just the biopic elements of this are very good, but it also almost feels like they jumped the gun and did this too soon. If they had waited another 5 or 6 years, like, this could have been a more complete film.
Yeah, I full-heartedly believe on that too. I
think one of my other dislikes here, kind of along a similar vein. Watching this movie feels like there's a lack of purpose. Because there's no like end to this story, and they decided to do this picture right in the middle of the rise of Facebook, right? That like, yeah, you get why there's a reason to watch it. It's still very good, don't get me wrong, but I also think that like, because there is no end point, you don't get conclusion, you don't get how the story turns out, you don't get all of the further developments and all of the more ways that Zuckerberg turns into an asshole, right? Like, it just kind of feels like it lacks purpose. There's no drive to having this right. There again, Fincher did his homework. He did get the pieces right. Don't get me wrong. It's very well done. The elements in this are strong, but the purpose, the drive to want to watch this movie, the wanting to understand the story feels like you get a half-baked piece of the whole big picture.
Yeah, I agree on that, because like, it does kind of end abruptly a little bit with like the epilogue about like, Zuckerberg settling everything, out of court.
They settle and Eduardo's on the banner, and that's the end of the movie. Ha ha ha! It's there. You don't get a lot out of it.
While Zuckerberg is just scrolling and stalking his ex-girlfriend on Facebook, which is a ending arc, but like at the same time, it's like it definitely was like something too early, especially since things got like way worse in hindsight. Which again, if they would have made this like into like a fictional, like did everything fictional, it wouldn't have shot themselves in the foot as much as they did by, making it Facebook.
Yeah, I it's not a thing that I'm like clamoring for in that fictional allegory, right? Like, I think the impact is much better because it is the people and the thing, right? Like, I also tend to agree with you in the idea that they could have created a rational ending had it been fictional rather than that biopic element of things. I still think that this movie is good and well done. It almost feels like they jumped the gun and they tried to do it too early.
Yeah, especially since like Facebook didn't really blow up until like 2011?
11, 12, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Cause like I remember like I refused to cause I remember like in high school it's like, well, Facebook is like, the adult version of MySpace. It's professional. And I was just like, okay, well, I have no reason to get a Facebook. I only ended up getting a Facebook when I went into college because I had to have one.
I was gonna say, I don't think I had Facebook until 12 or 13, partially because of just like my internet presence at the time. Like, I just wasn't spending that much time online, but also like, again, as Instagram blew up and as they've started Threads, and also Facebook, the propaganda machine, and also the advertising space, and knowing Facebook as this multi-billion-dollar corporation is a whole lot different than when it blew up in 2009, 2010, right? That's so small fish compared to what we have now, where Facebook's one of the biggest companies on the planet.
I totally agree.
Yeah. You want to run rankings?
Yeah. All right. So I am putting this below, because if I remember right, I have Alien 3 above 7. So I'm going to put it below 7, between, I think it's between 7 and Benjamin Button. If it's unless you convince me to do it the other way around, then it's Alien 3 and Benjamin Button. Because you have a habit of doing that to me sometimes.
I don't fucking know. But yeah, I get it.
But the reason why, I watched this movie a second fucking time.
Yeah. And
that's the thing, is that it's like, will I watch something a second time or not? And to me, it's like, this doesn't seem to be like a movie that I would watch a second time. But like, I was thinking in the back of my head, and it was like kind of like the insecure, fragile male ego theme that kind of like went into my head. I'm like, okay, I need to rewatch this movie to think that I'm not a crazy person and those themes are there.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I think,
I ended up rewatching it. I literally rewatched it. Will I rewatch it again? Probably not. But like, I did rewatch it.
I think I'm kind of in a similar vein. I'm putting this between Seven and Panic Room. So it'll be fourth on my list. And I think that I'm kind of in a similar vein as you, right? Where I think the biopic elements of this are really good. It is a movie you can watch a second time, even if I'm not eager to, right? I think that it's more well put together and researched than, Alien
Zodiac.
3 or than Zodiac.
I'm not saying Zodiac's not well researched. Zodiac's well researched. It's just
right. I think that
not that great of a movie.
I think you get more value out of watching this than you do from Panic Room. The rewatchability, I guess, is there in a way that Panic Room isn't. And I think that, again, I think this has the potential to be much higher. If you make a movie with the same quality in 2023 of the same subject material and you get a more full, complete picture, I think it's probably higher up on my list. But I think where it sits and getting the early stages of Facebook and the quality of characters and the human evolution of the whole thing, right? I think this deserves its credit, and I think I'm sticking it fourth. Yeah, I like this movie. I think it was good. I think that it could be better if they had given it more time than doing it when they did it. That being said, I have read stories recently that The Social Network 2 is in development, very early stages of development, but it is in development, which
I don't know. Is Fincher directing that? Because I know that he's planning on directing a sequel to a sequel or a prequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
They have not put any names attached to The Social Network 2. Not a single name has been attached to it. I hope it's Fincher so that we get some continuity. However,
it ends up being Tarantino, and that's the deal. He fucking does the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood thing, and Tarantino.
So that's the interesting part, is that I'm starting to be afraid that Fincher is going to be too busy for Social Network 2 if this is in fact legitimate. If he's doing the sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he's also been attached to the American reboot for Squid Games. I'm afraid Fincher might be too busy. So it very well may not be Fincher if this is in fact a real thing. But we'll see. I think either way, I will in fact watch it, just given the quality of the first one. Obviously there's a lot more impactful subject material, I think, later on rather than the early stages of Facebook. I will give it a shot one way or another. I hope it's Fincher. Even if it's not, I think I'll still give it a shot just because of how good this first one was, and we'll go from there. As always, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you hanging out. You can check the rest of the movie podcast here on the YouTube. There's also plenty of other content. You should be sure to go check that out too if anything else there strikes your interest. If you're interested in our other content, our personal content, we both stream on Twitch. Stallman at Traductus, myself at Ted Green Eagles. You can check out both of those things. We will be here next week for
the girl with the dragon tattoo.
That's it. You mentioned it to me earlier, and I already fucking forgot. Yeah, girl with the dragon tattoo will be our next week's video. Thank you as always for watching, and we will see you guys here next week. Adios.
Later.